Welcome everybody to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. What's on the menu today? Cult of the Lamb. Bah. All right, Cult of the Lamb. It is developed by Massive Monster, published by Digital Devolver. Came out August 11th. It's on the Unity engine. It is pretty much on every platform you can think of. PC, Nintendo, all your PlayStations, all your Xboxes. Hell, it might be on your GameCube. I don't know. It's everywhere. This is a single player game where essentially you start off as a little sheep, a little lamb, excuse me, and you get sacrificed. But the sacrificers actually send you to the boss man himself, who basically tells you you're my new cult leader and sends you back up, and he wants you to create a cult in his name. Now, without giving too much away, this is it's not my cup of tea game to start with, and then I started enjoying it. So this is an interesting game. So don't let the little trailers and things like that fool you. This is a really interesting game, in my opinion. Normally I'll let Nick talk first, but I had to throw that out there. So before I go to Nick, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, tell your family, tell your granny, and hit those notifications. All right, Nick, tell us what you think about Cult of the Lamb. And what was your cult's name?
My cult's name was House of Hell. And I really enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of roguelike. It does have that roguelike aspect to it, but the roguelike is very, and I'm not a big roguelike fan. But this roguelike it's very minor, right? It's not as intrusive as other roguelikes, where you're, going through this long, arduous level and you get to a really hard boss. And then if you die, you start all the way back to the beginning. If you do die during a level in this game, you do go back to the beginning, but these levels are short, right? You go through like maybe four or five screens, depending on the directions you want to go. So basically when you go into a level, the level is made up of these little they're made up of squares that you go through to go out throughout the map. And those don't last very long. There's like maybe 5 or 6 little rooms to go into. Some have not collectibles, but upgrades, maybe new weapons, maybe cards to kind of buff your character, cards, these tarot cards that you can get, which basically do different things like allow you to inflict poison on your weapons or give you an extra heart of health or, better treasure chest resources coming out for you, things like that. So, and these stack up as you find more and more. You can get more and more tarot cards. But basically, you go through that, and then you get treasure and resources and stuff like that as you're battling little enemies. And then you go through a door, and then from there, you can transition to another area. So it's got like a little map that shows you, like, if you go here, you're going to go get maybe rock resources. Maybe there's logs here. Maybe there's another follower there. Maybe there's a weapon here, whatever. And you kind of follow that path until you get to a boss at the end of it. You kill the boss, and then you're done with that part. And the whole roguelike aspect really is just for you, the whole point of going out to the dungeon, besides part of the story, to beat all the 4 cultists that, have condemned this god or this demon into hell, that you work for now, right? That your cult's for. Besides that, one of the main reasons to go through this kind of roguelike area is just to collect resources for your cult and collect followers. So that's, besides the roguelike aspect, you have this awesome kind of base building aspect where you're back at home. It's kind of like a survival crafting game when you get back at your cult. You have your cult followers that you can have them do various things, such as chopping trees or mining for resources or worshipping you at the altar, right? And among various other things. And you build things for them, things for them to mine with, to worship you with, to sleep at night, like little fold out beds or little teepees for them to sleep in. You have your church where you can give your sermons to all your other little fairy or your little creatures. They have different creatures like rabbits and skunks and just different little cute woodland creatures that are your followers. And basically, you're just doing that. And as the followers are doing these things, you're building more resources, you're building more structures at your cult. You're kind of designing it how you want, because they also have decorative things, so you can kind of build and kind of design your cult how you want it to look. And this is also that you can get stronger as you go through the roguelike aspect of the dungeons to collect more resources for the cult and to follow the story, which is killing all the bad guys and releasing the demon that your cult's a part of, right? So it's a lot of fun. It's a action adventure. Like I said, it's got the roguelike, it's got the construction, it's kind of a management thing, because you're managing your followers. You want to make sure that they're not deviates. You don't want them to deviate from the cult. If you do, you got to discipline them. You got to put them in prison or kill them if you want to. You kind of look at your cult at first, you kind of think your cult is like, okay, these are my followers, I need to protect them and stuff. But then you realize, no, these are just a currency. And I need to take, and I need them to basically, you need to use them, right? So you use them to make you stronger. And then if they get out of the line, you show them who's boss, right? Who's the leader, right? Either put them in prison and bring them worship, bring them back to the cult by brainwashing them back in, or or kill them outright if you want to, and show your cult that you don't give a crap. If they get out of line, they're gonna die, right? And that's kind of the route you can go. As a leader, as a leader, you can kind of go those two directions. When you go in and give sermons, there are different rituals and other things that you can basically put out there onto your cultists. Like I said, you got the sermon, which sermon gives you points that you can put into this skill tree that unlocks things for when you go into the roguelike aspect, like better weapons or better curses. Curses are like kind of magical spells that you can cast when you're out in the roguelike section. Or you can do the there's the rituals. The rituals are basically like them dancing around a bonfire that maybe ups your their devotion to you, their loyalty to you. And then there's one more that for some reason I can't think of, but I can't think of the name of it. But it's basically where you enact, well, man, I lost my train of thought here, but I'll come back to it once I think of it. But anyway, you have a whole bunch of stuff that you can do within there, that you can collect, these little stone tablets to enhance certain things. Their devotion to you, for them around your shrine, they devote points to your shrine. You take those points off your shrine, and basically you can use those points to upgrade the things that you can build within your cult. So there's a ton of management to do within the cult itself. There's just a ton of stuff to unlock and to build, and to get more things to build. You have that devotion that I was talking about at the shrine, but you can also find blueprints out in the roguelike world that allow you to build other things, or maybe change the look of your followers and stuff. So there's all sorts of collectibles and various things, but I won't try to take because there's even more stuff you can do in this game, so I won't take everything away. But ultimately, this game is a lot of fun. I think it's definitely worth it. So what do you think, Shane?
I don't think anything. You pretty much said all my words for me. Really, this game it did not think I was going to like it. Just the synopsis you see on the store before purchasing it, and then the character models like something out of a Nick Jr. TV show, but as soon as you could start murdering them, feed them to each other, punish them for not listening. I was not a great cult leader. I was kind of harsh. I tried to be good in areas, if you did right, you did what I say, I'll give you a sandwich. But if you didn't, you had to go clean poo up out of the yard or vomit. It was the biggest surprise on this game, though, was when it starts giving you all these, and it takes a little while because there's so much to do. It slowly tells you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do. None of it was overbearing. It was all very, I wouldn't say simplistic, but it was done in a way that management for all the little things uh, didn't feel over cumbersome, and it didn't feel like every time you'd go out to do a mission, oh crap, I left Billy Bob in bed throwing up sick, or is he going to die now? It never felt like the management part of the game was too much that you had to worry about while you were out doing other things or while you were there. Did you do all the little things you should have? It never felt over, like it was over cumbersome. The little characters, though, are so cute after you realize the things you can do to them and punish them. It's a little sadistic, but it's a lamb. I don't care. But it was really interesting. And then I gave my cult a name I really don't want to put on YouTube because it's kind of political. I don't want people's buttholes puckering up too much. But the character customizations for each character cultist you unlock, you can tweak their looks a bit, give them all different unique names. I had fun with that. A lot of people I didn't like, they were in there and they didn't make it. But the combat system was pretty good overall. My biggest problem with the combat system is the projectile. I can't remember what they call the projectiles that you can launch. Most of them I didn't care for. There's one that tracks, shoots multiple shots at track.
Oh, you're talking about the curses.
Curses, yes. I didn't care for those in combat. It didn't feel like it needed to be there. The only one that I used that I liked in any way was the multiple shots at track. That was really the only one I felt that was combat worthy, because the other versions you get, basically it's you got to stop, line of sight it with your right stick, and then release. Some of them you got to hold and release for an explosion or do this, that. And they were all just, yes, they were a little more powerful than the tracking shot, but they weren't as accurate either. Because some of these things, you're on a flat plane and you're looking down, so these monsters will jump, and it's hard to time that because they can jump right over your shots. Now, like there's a few of those shots you can do that they can jump over, but I didn't care for that. But the melee combat worked well. You had basically the X button and then the B button. X swings and hits, and then B button tucks and rolls, and that's really all you need. And I enjoyed it. The enemy characters varied, probably I'd say enough throughout the game. The bosses are pretty cool. But the projectile shot's the only problem I have with the combat. Overall, I cannot believe I like the game as much as I do. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't even think we were going to play this one originally, so I never really had it in my mind until we fired it up, and I found it well worth it. Nick, you bought this one. How much did this one run?
This is a $25 game. I spent $30 for the extra. You can get some like extra follower looks, because you can make your followers look like different creatures and stuff. And so for $5 extra, you can buy some extra ones that are not in the base game. But this is a $25 game if you just want to buy it.
And that's well worth it. The time you can put into it, just playing around with your characters, your cultists that you unlock, just playing around, making them look like you want, name what you want. You can assign them different jobs throughout. You can assign them just to sit and pray. You can assign them to, chop wood, mine, all sorts of stuff. And the management never felt too much on that, and I enjoyed it. The construction stuff was kind of neat. You start off, you could build them just a grassy bed, and you can work your way up to teepees and so on and so forth. Your little cultist church is pretty cool. Mine was always filled with the Jonesboro Kool-Aid, if anybody was thirsty. So that was nice. Although the audio kind of got to me. I don't really like when they make a when they do dialogue. I would rather them not say anything. To me, that was distracting. I've never liked a game that didn't actually use, uh, English or voices when I don't like that, like Charlie Brown teacher. I know I just dated the hell out of myself, but I want to, I want to hear words or nothing. I don't, that just drove me nuts, but that is me. But
To each
Nick,
their own on that, because I like that. I like that because they're it's kind of like they're different creatures with their own dialect and stuff, and it kind of reminds me of the old school games, that used to have like Zelda and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. Never have. I mean, just especially when you get a long dialogue box of few people talking back and forth. It's like just use words.
Just use your words.
Just use your damn words.
And the other thing I was thinking about,
you get 2 cups of Kool-Aid.
Right. The other thing I was thinking about, you get no sugar in your Kool-Aid. The other thing I was thinking about in the church is the doctrines. That's was the other thing I was thinking of, and I couldn't think of. Those are the things that you can basically put points into certain things, like allowing them to like for food, for example, so they can last a little longer without having to feed them again. Or that when they worship, they kind of, they're more into worshiping and dedication to the cult. Or if people die, they don't get so scared of the afterlife, that type of stuff. So you can kind of put points into that and unlock these doctrines that you can enact into your cult and stuff like that. But yeah, and the game has a lot more than just that. I agree, Shane, the management, it seems kind of overwhelming at first, and you kind of seem a little lost. But once you start playing around with it, you're like, oh, this is really easy to understand, and I know what I need to do. And your cultists pretty much take care of themselves. I mean, you give them a job and they go and they do it, and they go to sleep, and they, the only thing they don't do is they don't eat. But you have to cook the food, which is not a problem. There's a lot of other things to visit in this game besides just the roguelike levels, right? There's other activities around the island that you can do. So, I don't want to spoil the other things. If you do want to play this, you might find some of them kind of fun, but there's other things that you can go around and interact with other characters that are not things to fight and stuff like that. But ultimately, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, once you go through the roguelike areas, if you complete an area, you can go back to it. The enemies are a little bit harder, but the resources are better. And you can, and the stuff you get out of the chest are better. So you can go through there, and it goes longer. Basically, when you go through each section, initially, before you kill the big bad boss at the end, you basically, every time you go through there and finish one little level, a little section, it unlocks a little piece of the door. And then once you've done that 4 times, it unlocks the door and you fight the boss of that area, one of the cult leaders that tried to kill you at the beginning or killed you at the beginning. Once you've completed that, you can go back there. So you can still go back there for quests. There are side quests that your followers will give you. You complete those, they get loyalty, and then if they max out their loyalty, it goes into you. So you can use that for your devotion points to add more stuff to your cult. And you can go back there to get additional resources or various things like that. So this game is just a lot of fun. I find it a lot of fun to play. Like I said, I'm not big into the roguelike, but the roguelike was very minimal in this game. The game, there are difficulty levels, so, it could be harder depending on what you play on. But, for the difficulty I played on, it wasn't that difficult. So it's unlike most roguelikes that can be very difficult. This one was actually quite easy. And it seemed like they wanted to kind of make it roguelike in certain aspects, but didn't want to really focus heavily on the roguelike aspect. They wanted to kind of make a management kind of survival type game with a little bit of a roguelike aspect, kind of mixing genres here, which, you wouldn't think it would work out, but it does. It works out really well. So I'm hoping that more developers kind of see this, and, if they want to make a roguelike, they kind of go in this direction with it. It doesn't have to be necessarily managing a city or something like that, but just kind of this where the roguelike aspect isn't so heavy handed that it's so difficult that people can't get through it. Right. I think that's one of the problems with a lot of roguelikes for a lot of people, not everybody, but there's a lot of people that like certain roguelike games, but they can't get past the first level because it's so difficult, right? And that they can't get past the first level, so they never get to experience the rest of the game, right? And and that's why some people have called for like difficulty settings in these roguelike games and various things like that. But if they kind of go this route, which the game's not too difficult and the roguelike sections are very short, that might bring more people into that kind of roguelike aspect of kind of liking certain roguelike games, for that. So
yeah, I think more roguelikes should be more like this, that aren't just pain in the ass to be for the sake of being a pain in the ass, for torturing you for just the thought of torture. It's like you hear Souls like games. Those are games that are just built to be destructively hard to you. No reason for it. Not that the characters are actually tough. They make it to be Souls like. So they don't put a lot of thought in. Souls like, a Souls game is difficult, but it's the way it's difficult. Those are typically better to play. So for roguelike, I hate roguelike. Most roguelikes I just cannot tolerate. The only one I have liked in the last year has probably been Sifu on PlayStation. And even then, I had a problem with the roguelike on it, but it wasn't as bad as a lot of them. So they did a good job just by making the roguelike something more like you got to keep in the back of your head. That if you die, you're gonna lose a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I won't tell you what all happens, but you're right. It was never something that just destroyed you. You come back to your church and everybody's dead and church is burnt to the ground and Kool-Aid spilt on the floor, shoes are sticky. It was never like that. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. I still don't like roguelike in any game. I think roguelike is just stupid. I think roguelike is a way to make a short game long, plain and simple. But this game did not. This game worked well in almost every aspect. I only had a few little complaints about it. It ran fantastic, and for $25, 30 if you want the little extras, well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. And I was kind of wondering how the cult part was going to work out, and I was like, oh, is it going to get really weird and crap? Yes, and I liked it. So I was happy for it. But Nick, you got anything else before we send the lamb to slaughter?
No, all I'd say is if you're on the fence for this game, get off that fence. It's time to go and buy it because I think you're going to find it's a good time.
Yep, get off the fence and ride that lamb. All right. All right, gentlemen, ladies, and all the other listeners, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, hit those notifications, and let us know what you think about this game. If you played it, let us know what your cult name was. Everybody's going to have some different ones, and I really want to hear them because I've seen a few online, and they're pretty damn funny. So, all right, until next time, see ya.